This is a great idea.
Why's that?
It's sweaty out here.
You're the one that said it's nice out here.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, whatever.
What have you been up to?
I've been riding on a daydream. Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out RV Daydream. And we decided to sit down since Heidi had some time off and do a Q&A. We get a lot of questions. We try to answer them all. And these questions that we chose were just in the last 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks at the most. We always get a lot of questions. Again, we apologize if we don't get to them right away. And some of the questions are kind of off, in another world. But most of them are pretty pertinent. So, of course, we're just sitting out in the RV here. You're going to hear traffic noises and stuff because we live at a busy intersection. But we, like Heidi said, it's a little bit nicer out here compared to our porch. So I went ahead and grabbed our good camera, and we're mic'd up so you guys can hear us a little bit better, although I'm usually pretty loud. And somebody had mentioned that. Bruce S. Yeah. Billy Mays here. Yeah, screaming as far as product stuff. It's just easier to shoot with that other camera. We just set it up and I just basically talk to it, make sure I'm clear and everything comes across. But again, now that we're mic'd up, I can kind of talk normal and you guys are going to hear me just fine.
You can adjust the volume, right?
Yeah, we can adjust the volume. So, Heidi's going to, what I did is just took some screenshots of questions. Heidi's going to read them off in order. So whenever I'm posting them here, maybe you can read along. And she's just basically going to say who asked the question. So go ahead.
Run no more. The description on Home Depot's website states that it's best for altitudes below 3,000 feet. Has anyone had an issue with this? I often camp 6,000 to 7,000.
What she's referring to is a comment that was posted on my video. That's the van life generator, that Sportsman Gen 1000i, and it's just a little generator. And as far as altitude, there's always diminished results as you go higher up. I know that if you get at some crazy altitudes, the thing won't even hardly produce at all. It's basically just the air is thinner. The engine is nothing more than an air pump. It sucks in air, or air is pushed into it through atmosphere pressure. And as you get higher up, that pressure doesn't push in as fast. So you have less air going in. So if you've got less air going in, less of an explosion, less fuel, it's just a smaller burn, and the engine's going to be less efficient. So yeah, that's something that we know even with our Champion generator, that we could get enough altitude that on propane it may not even run one air conditioner even with the easy starts, because it could drop down to a level that's just no good. It's one of those things you got to deal with. So yes, to answer your question, the higher the altitude, the results are going to be diminished on that little generator.
There was a comment, older RV remodel results finally. Where did we get the blinds?
Yeah, we get that question a lot, and this is on our old Terry travel trailer. The blinds that we were installing to replace the blinds that were just gone, and one that was just a roll-up pull. It was horrible. They were just at Lowe's. They're a friction blind. You pull it down, and wherever you stop, it just stays there. Yeah, Lowe's has them. You can find those pretty much anywhere.
This one is on Cuddy Sunset RV Day Trip, Day 4. It says the Uniprow mud flap on the bumper really offer that much more protection versus regular wheel well-mounted flaps.
What the question was about is that new rock guard that we installed on the back of the truck. There's no comparison to that, and I'd have to, even those rock tamers that that are very popular. We were thinking about those, but there's a lot of things I didn't like about them. And one of them was they're just flaps that cover the area where the truck. There's a lot of stuff that gets kicked up that gets bounced off the bottom of the truck from like the front tires even. that eventually comes out the back of the truck. And if you have a flap all the way across the back, I mean, there's a lot of protection going on there. So yes, the answer to the question is the bigger flap all the way across the back of the truck definitely keeps the amount of debris coming from underneath the truck and off of the rear tires at a minimum.
I don't think that the rear wheel, well, mud flaps do much anyway.
Yeah, unless you got
or
some,
the front ones.
You'd have to get some really big ones.
Right.
You'd have to mount. They'd have to hang down real low. But still, like I said, there's stuff in the middle that gets kicked up and up and out of there.
Because I noticed the front ones even still get all that dirt on the
running board.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Sawaki S200 portable RV power. What happened to the Rockpal power station? Long-term reviews of this type of product would be helpful or more useful.
Right. Heidi, she responded to that one. We sold it to a friend. It's working just fine. The thing about long-term, that's kind of like saying we want to have, we're going to do a long-term review of this light bulb. I mean, it's just an electronic piece. It's, I don't know, maybe a year from now we could go back and look at the video. But, I mean, you're talking about like your solar panels, a year from now. What's solar panels like? Well, they're up there, they're collecting sun, and they're still, if it failed, I would say something. But yeah, that Rockpals, it's fine. It's just the form function. It's bigger. We had somebody ask, between the two of them. The Rockpals is just a bigger brick. It puts out a little bit more power. And as far as form, and function, like I mentioned, that Sawaki S200, it's much slimmer, it's lighter, it's just all the way around, really nice. The Rockpals, though, as far as if you have the space, I think it might be a better one than the that S200. But yeah, long term, I try not to do too many long terms because stuff fails for different reasons. I mean, I could be abusing the crap out of it. If it fails in 3 weeks, then how fair is that? And then again, I could be babying something and barely using it and, saying, oh, I've had this now for 10 years. Like our canopy. We have a canopy that we've had, our King canopy. We bought, I don't know how many years ago now. I did a review on it when we first got it, and we take really good care of it. That thing is darn near like the very first day we got it, with maybe a few bird crap stains that we just couldn't get off. But it's identical to the day we got it. Now, there's other people that get it and they stick it in their backyard and it pours down rain and it collapses and the wind catches it, and that's within 2 weeks.
We only lost one that way.
Yeah, we lost one canopy, a real cheap one, years ago, and we learned you don't leave them out in the rain. But anyways, getting back to this, the Rockpals, there won't be any long term. I mean, it like I said, it's so subjectable to whoever is actually using it to if it's going to be something that's going to last long or not. I just don't think it's a good idea to do those kind of reviews.
But of course, if we have something that fails,
yeah, if we have
or
something,
if we're still using something,
right, yeah. I mean, you'll see.
This another one is on the Cuddy Sunset RV Day Trip 4. Says maybe sumo springs would help you out on your squat on your truck. Not sure if you have those already, but it gives you suspension support when you have a heavy load.
Yeah, there's a lot of different alternatives to helping out with truck squat. I'm going to tell you that we're going to address the truck squat. I don't like that it squats. I'm going to tell you that we could potentially do airbags, even though I did a video about that before. I said even during that video that it's still a possibility we might do airbags. But the thing is those airbags can't be used the way most people do, and it's just like air shocks. Back when air shocks was all the rage, and you hijackers and you jack your vehicle up and drive around with your bumper 4 foot in the air, and it rides like a brick. Well, it's the same with airbags. You could overinflate those and not use them correctly. Airbags, the best part about airbags is you can adjust them for the load, and you can adjust them for side to side if you've got them set up that way. So if you've got it to where your truck might be a little bit heavier on one side, you can bump it up a little bit on that airbag. The thing is when you're using weight distribution bars with a travel trailer, you just need a little tiny bit of support, just the littlest pressure in the airbags. So airbags aside, there's other alternatives, and they're all about the springs and bump stops and add-ons, and that's basically the way we're going to go because, you know, there's nothing wrong with the factory suspension. It's just it has to preload everything a little bit too much before the weight's supported. And that's done by a squat to where you get to, I have 2 overload springs. I have one up high and I have one down low. And as you've seen in the video, or at least on that video, the overload springs on the top are actually getting rubbed on. They're actually getting bumped a little bit when we tow. We're going to address that. We're going to make that to where that's not the case whenever we're loaded up. Again, look for that in a future video.
Rockpal 300 watt lithium power station review. The discount code on Amazon no longer works.
Yeah, I meant to tell you guys that they lowered the price across the board from their initial offering, and that initial price point that they had on that Rockpals, they've now lowered it to include that code for everybody, or that price reduction that was used with the code. So they don't have another $20 off or whatever by using that code. Everybody gets the same price.
Same video, Rockpal 300 watt lithium. Do you still like this one, or have you changed your mind?
As I mentioned before, I like the Rockpals.
I like because it's small.
She liked the Rockpals more because of it looked like it was easier to use, and once you set it down, it didn't fall over or anything like that. This Suwaki, it's thin, and it's kind of, you know, you got to stand it up and put it somewhere out of the way. You could knock it over. The Rockpals was just a little bit more user friendly, I think. But other than that, I don't know. That Suwaki's really nice. It's nice. And I had somebody say, "Oh, those things are junk and they're not worth it, and you should buy 4 Battleborn batteries instead and save your money," which really threw me for a loop because, I mean, come on. You're talking the difference of something that's portable power that can be used to recharge my phone, like I said, about 17 times, and, you know, cost about $250 and could also help with our laptop and other things. And he's saying, just forget about it. Go buy 4 Battleborn batteries. That's $3,700 worth of batteries and save your money. Don't spend on that little... You know, come on. There's a lot of people.
Zero comparison.
Yeah, that is so crazy. It's like saying, why even bother buying a Honda 2200 generator? Just go out and buy the Honda 7000 watt generator and be able to power everything. It's basically saying the same thing.
2020 Rockwood 2604 WS detailed look and why we bought it. Patty Wagon said a few days ago that he loves this RV, and he's been looking at the Rockwoods and toured the same model. He said he wanted to know what the dry weight was.
Yeah, I've had this question a lot. Thank Patrick. I'm glad you finally got a chance to take a look at the RV. I remember how much we liked your StarCraft that you had. Or no, it wasn't a StarCraft. It had the same layout as the StarCraft, right. Remember? This one for 30 feet in length. There's a lot of things that we liked about this one, and I know we have another question that I'll address this a little bit more, but a lot of people have been asking about the weight. Again, with all the options that we have on this one, which we have loaded it up with a ton of options, pretty much almost every option you could get, minus a bike rack, and I think there was something else. The RV weighs about 6,400 pounds? 6,500 pounds.
65. And
yeah, 65 something.
It was almost 66.
That's the dry weight.
Yeah.
And if it's fully loaded with everything, which this can hold a lot, it's just 8,800 pounds. So just under that. So that's basically the weights. Just wanted to tell you about the weights. And again, we'll talk about the RV in a little bit here too.
This was RV Summer Road Trip Day 1 and 2. It says, how do you know if your polarity is correct and not reversed? Is there a way for me to tell?
Yeah, she's just pointing at something off camera here. It's this AC voltage, this line, this here. We've done a review on this before. Again, for all of our stuff, if you guys just check our playlist, there's all kinds of junk down there, and just flip through there, you'll be able to find it. But yeah, this is for.
But wouldn't you be able to?
It's an AC line meter, and yeah, you can take it and actually plug it into the campground pole before you even hook up into it. But this is what actually goes through the RV.
LevelMate Pro makes easy RV setup. Says, how do you know when you're level? How do you know when you're level when putting into the site before the slides are out?
So it's kind of hard to explain, but basically the more you RV, the more you get out there, and every time you level your RV, you're going to learn something about it. And I know in our old Terry, when I first leveled a couple times, I got the bubble level out and I set it up in a couple places, and I'm like, man, this doesn't feel level. Once we got, we set it up what looked to be perfect, but come to find out that we needed to put the level somewhere else in the RV than where we were checking at, or we were using a bumper that might have been bent a little bit. You'll learn stuff like that. And in the case of our old RV, we always tried to set it up to where it was a little bit higher on the driver's side of the RV, the side that all your utilities hook up, your sewer hose and everything. We tried to set that side up just a little bit higher than the rest because the way our water and our shower ran. Now in this RV, we know that when we're using this LevelMate Pro, we want the RV to show that I need to raise the entrance side, the passenger side, whatever you want to call it, the awning side. I need that LevelMate Pro to say that needs to be raised 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. If it says that, for our situation, we know that once this super slide goes out and that other wardrobe slide goes out, as soon as they go out, it will load the suspension and it will bring the RV up. I'm pointing to the door because the door is off to our right. And basically, our RV is set up like this, to where it's at an angle that's down this way, about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch before the slides go out. And then when we bring the slides out, it levels it out. You're going to learn that about your own RV. You'll just figure it out on your own. It's all up to you. You have to experiment. The more you set up, the more you tear down, the more you level your RV, you're going to learn this. You'll learn it on your own. But that LevelMate Pro, I should have bought it years and years ago. And I'm telling you, that was a definite, that's not a hyperbole. That's something I should have got a long time ago, because setting up for level, it's so awesome now.
Somebody asked about the payload capacity.
Someone asked us what the payload capacity was on our truck. And I already have pictures of our stickers in our door that I keep on my phone just for reference. And I said 3,300 pounds. And they replied and said, no, you need to show what the sticker is on the door, which we did. I mean, that's what I was referring to. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find it here. So there's our payload capacity. It's 3,295, so 3,300 pounds. Now, that's not including passengers. That's not including the cap that I have on the truck now.
Yeah, because somebody made a comment about that.
That's not including the fuel that's in the gas tank. I mean, there's a lot of things that, whatever we put in the back, that all takes away from that 3,300 pounds. But yeah, that's what it is. It's 3,300 pounds in the truck minus whatever we've added on there. It's still got to be, 2,500 pounds, I would guess. Got to be close to that.
So I see a comment here from Robin McCoon. It says, no wonder the poor trailer bounces around as fast, or as much as fast as it's being pulled. I'm surprised things are not falling off the walls and from the cabinets. Why are you such in a hurry? It's because I'm not in the passenger seat.
Yeah, Heidi keeps me under control there.
We're not losing anything because we don't really have anything.
When we go on a trip, that's something entirely different. We needed to get somewhere. I wanted to get, it's close. I know the roads. There's no secrets. There's no mysteries. I just want to get there. I want to get there and set up. Normally, we're just like a 63 mile an hour drive. I don't care if it's 75 miles an hour. We do 63 wherever we go. That seems to be the sweet spot for the old truck, and I think it's going to be the sweet spot for the new truck too. Yeah. It was just me trying to get somewhere. That's all.
You're funny. BAD says, do you keep your slides in or out?
This is another question on the LevelMate
Yeah.
Pro.
Yeah, do you keep your slides in or out when you're parked at home?
Actually, I don't have a feeling about that one way or the other. We keep them out for the most part, but if we see that there's going to be a lot of wind and rain, we'll bring them in. We'll bring in the slides. Is there a negative to that?
Maybe.
I don't really know why. Why?
If it was like long term and you didn't put your camper anywhere, I would imagine it would.
I don't know. I mean, if you,
that's true.
in our case, on this RV specifically, our sidewalls on the ends of the slide
Are the same.
are made exactly like the outside walls. So the only thing that I could think that might be a negative is the seals on the slide whenever it's out are being compressed. However, if the slide is in, then all the seals on the slide whenever it's in, those are being compressed. And, as far as dry rot or sun exposure or anything like that, we have an awning topper. It takes care of most everything up there. I guess that's the only thing that could really, I'd say, is getting abused, is the awnings topper is, being exposed to sun and rain and stuff like that. But other than that, I don't really see, a benefit one way or the other. I don't imagine the RVs being twisted or the weights being, put in a weird way. Like I said, with the slides out, we only compress the suspension over here about 3/4 of an inch at the most. I don't think that really hurts the suspension or the tires on this side. I don't know. It protects the tires without me putting a wheel cover on it because it's shading everything down there.
Do you have a video available for the new RV and new truck as far as specifications, fuel economy, ease of handling, power upgrades, engine braking?
Not until we do a real trip. I don't think these little short trips you could do that. I would think that a trip would have to be.
Well, we're going to do a bigger trip
Yeah.
with just the truck, so that'll be nice.
Yeah, we're going to find out still. I don't think that, first of all, I don't think that vehicles really show what they're capable of or what they're going to do until you're over 10,000 miles. Our truck's only at 6,400 miles, so, we don't have it really broken in. I haven't even done the transmission fluid change yet. So, no. The answer to that is no. And
There's going to be so many driving habits different.
Yeah.
They're not ever going to be the same.
Which I'll give you results like I did with my old truck, but we've got to do a trip that makes a difference. I mean, you've got to average stuff out, and whenever you do a trip that's 40 miles, there's not a lot of averaging you can do there. For example, we took the truck empty and went up to pick up the RV, and on the way up there, we got 17 miles to the gallon with it. And then on the way back with the RV, it hardly knocked that gas mileage down at all. On the loaded trip back, I could see that we were getting right around 14 miles to the gallon. So, you could average that out, but it's still it's too sporadic. We have to do a bigger trip.
Too new.
It's still too new. We're going to do a trip though here shortly, and
it's 300 miles.
Yeah, 600 round trip, right?
Yeah.
So that'll give us an idea, but the terrain that we're going to drive, I know that it's not going to really show its true gas mileage, what it could do. But the good news is that I'll get a good idea of towing, going up the hills, braking, engine braking. Of course, I'll cover that in the video.
This one is
What video is it?
it's a LevelMate Pro. It says, what do you think about using in a Class A? Because our leveling system lies and it's never right. That's from Lonnie Mossy.
Yes, somebody already commented on that, and I just wanted to bring it up so everybody could hear the same information. There's someone else that has a Class A, and they actually use it in the Class A because their leveling system, their readings weren't that good either. And they've had success with it. So, yes, it can be used in the Class A. That's basically the answer.
Probably on the same level as the water tank, the black tank, and the gray tank,
Yeah.
how accurate they are.
They're these.
Well, they just get buy the cheapest stuff.
I can't believe our 1992 Terry camper. I knew exactly how much we had in all those tanks, and they had the original stupid little sensors that came from the factory on that thing with that stupid panel that you push the button and the lights light up, and you had to hold it for a second because through resistance the bulbs would slowly go out and actually read correctly. This one here is all over the board. I mean, it says a third of a tank, even though you might have a gallon in there. That's on all the tanks, so we're going to address that in the future.
Richard Howard said that all of our RV projects can wait until we're full time. I did make a comment that would be true for some people, but not in our case. We're going to do it as we see fit.
Yeah, I mean, some of the RV for example, I mean, if I want to add a generator mount on the back of this trailer,
we don't want to do it at a campground.
Yeah, I don't want to be at a campground doing that, and I don't, I have a welder here, and I have all my tools here that I'm not bringing my welder. I'm not bringing my 90-degree air sander, and all that stuff. I
don't look to do a remodel or anything like that on the road.
No.
Nothing major unless it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah, don't get me wrong.
We could
repair. Do it. But then again, we wouldn't be on the road. We'd be at one of our relatives' house using their garage.
Right.
I mean, yeah, we want to knock out the stuff while we can, while we're still here. I mean, there's no sense in, it's not like we're delaying us hitting the road because we have stuff to do. We're doing it because we're not on the road yet.
Cuddy Sunset RV Day Trip number 3. I'm just going to say this. He's not going to talk about it. Michael does not drink and drive. End of conversation.
My God, yeah.
We don't need to talk about it anymore.
There was two people that actually thought that we were bar hopping and I was driving around.
I'm completely sober when we're out at bars.
Yeah, that is
or
crazy.
He's completely sober when we're out at bars. We don't drink and drive.
That is so... That's just crazy. I don't know what those had to be people that just don't know any better. Because
not only that, there's a lot of people that drink and drive.
Yeah, well,
but we're not one of them.
Yeah, we've never been.
30-foot travel trailer RV plug on Honda EU 2200. KC Carr, the Oregon Hillbilly. Hilton?
I don't know.
It says, I have a question about generators. If you have 2 Honda 3000i generators running in parallel, you still only have a 30 amp plug-in. But now you can run 2 air conditioners, right? So can you run your 50 amp trailer off a 30 amp plug with 2 parallel Honda 3000 generators?
You can get an adapter that adapts this RV down to 110 volt 15 amp. That's what we have this plugged into right now and in our garage. You can only run certain things off of that though. Just because you're plugged in and it's adapted up to that 50 amp big twist on doesn't mean you have 50 amp service. Question that you had there was, could you run this 50 amp RV off of a 30 amp plug? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing when I'm running that Honda 2200 generator and have it plugged into a 30 amp. But you can only power certain things. You can only use the electricity that's available. So no matter what adapter you get, I mentioned that on a previous video, you still only have what the smallest adapter plug is. So if I adapt 50 down to 15, I basically have 15 amps worth of service that I can use. If I adapt from a 50 down to a 30, I can only use 30 amps worth of stuff inside this RV. However, if you've got 2 Honda 3000 ISs, they make a kit, a 50 amp parallel kit. It's about $180. You plug it in to the Hondas, both of them equally, power them both up, and go to town. You can run your air, you can run your microwaves, you can do everything you can, just like you would at a 50 amp hookup at a campground. But you have to buy the 50 amp parallel kit for those 2 Honda 3000s. Now, with that said, I don't think anybody in their right mind would parallel 2 Honda 3000s together. First of all, you're talking over $4,000 for the two generators. They're big. They use a lot of gas, and there's no need for it. There really isn't. You just need one of them. If you get one of those Honda 3000s, they're the best that you can buy. They're the quietest you can buy. Everything about them is great except for their size. They're kind of big. They're bigger than the Champion, and other than that, they're perfect. And you can do everything you need to on your RV. As far as running both rooftop air conditioners, probably not. I mean, you might be able to get away with it, but I want to do it.
Cuddy Sunset RV day trip, day 1 and 2. When you're parked at the house, do you leave dry food, stuff in the cupboards, and food in the fridge?
That's right.
I actually have canned goods in here. Whether that's a good idea or not when it gets to 95 degrees, that remains to be seen. I do clean out the refrigerator. It took me a week. Well, we came home last Friday, and
it wasn't that it was so messy or so
No.
full that it took a whole week to do. She put it off for a whole week. Then she finally came out and did
Yeah,
it.
every night I'm like, oh, I'm going to go clean the refrigerator out. There wasn't a lot of stuff that I left in here.
Right.
But I take all the bread out. Anything that's open, chips, bread, anything that we've opened, I definitely get out of here. And I don't leave any trash or anything. But we do have canned goods. I don't know.
That we're testing that.
Yeah,
We're testing to see what happens.
They could be bulging.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on.
I
in there.
didn't look at them.
Well,
so.
look, we've probably exploded in there already.
So yeah, we definitely clean out the fridge and the cabinets for the most part.
Right.
RV upgrade project list update. What editing software do you use?
Power Director. I think I'm on like 17 Ultra. I started with Power Director 6, and I went on 6 for a couple of years. Then I bought 8, and then I waited for a little while. Then I bought 10. Then I bought 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and I think I'm on 17 now.
How much they cost?
You can get them for about $40 to $90. And each time they come out, they usually, the reason that I bought all those in order is because usually they'll give you some sort of a coupon or something that says, hey, the new Power Director 18 is out, and we give you 25% off. And if you do that, it's real nice because it integrates what you already have. It'll get rid of the old stuff that you don't need, and it'll add more stuff, and it's real seamless. It's a very easy program to use, at least as far as I'm concerned. I've never tried any others, and I've never had a problem with it. I'm sure it could be more flexible, and there's a lot more ton more features that I don't ever use. For example, like our action cam. I talked about that lens and how wide it is, and if you look, the edges are a little bit curved. It has a lens correction that I could do every single time, and it would straighten out those edges. And I just have to pick, my Sony action cam, and it already knows what lens and what the angle is, and it straightens it out for you. Again, there's tons of stuff in there that I don't ever use.
Cuddy Sunset RV trip day 4. Says with the easy start, shouldn't you be able to run the AC and the microwave off the 30 amp service?
Most likely. I mean, we could do that without the easy start with our old RV. We've done that. But it's, as soon as your refrigerator compressor kicks on, then at that point, if you forget that your hot water tank electric heating element's on, and you try it, you're going to, pop it. So I think so. I'm pretty sure that we could.
Van life build results reveal. Why no AC?
Oh, yeah.
What's wrong with it?
Yeah, she's talking about the van build that we did with our son, which he's in Chicago now. I think he's been Michigan, Indiana. Now he's up in Chicago. I don't know how long he's going to be up there. But, he has a factory air conditioner on the unit, dash, not for the back, but regular. And we just didn't get to it. He kind of ran out of money because of all his trips flying out to Washington and staying out there for 2 weeks and then flying back home. I'm not going to tell him what he needs to do and how to spend his money, but I told him, I said, yeah, you'll see. You don't have that air conditioning. You're going to be feeling it. It probably needs a decent amount of work. I recharged the air, and it worked for I don't know, 20 minutes, but the compressor made a lot of noise and it leaked out. I could hear it leaking out. So, where is the leak and why was the compressor making noise? I mean, that's two things there that makes me think that he's going to need a new compressor and maybe, a new condenser coil. Probably, all that stuff she sells, the orifice tube.
Just get the whole complete kit.
Yeah, which is kind of expensive. And the thing is, I told him that, in Ohio here, we don't have a lot of AC specialists. So I told him, maybe you go down south. You go to Florida and you just trip over AC specialists. They're everywhere. Right. They have to be. So that's why. That's why he don't have air conditioning.
RV full-time update, July 2019, Dream State. From Paul S. Have you given any thought to just renting out your house so you could have income from it?
So the answer to that is yes, we've given plenty of thought about it.
And the answer is no.
We actually thought about it. If you watched us years back, we thought about renting out the house and what it would take to make it to where it's bulletproof and that. And there's somebody on the used to be on YouTube, Life in Serenity. They don't do YouTube any longer. However, they were a Canadian couple that decided to travel full time. And they downsized, they got their house all fixed up real nice, and they rented it out. And they went to Arizona. They were in Arizona for about 5 months, and then they headed back up north because I guess their house, the people weren't living there anymore, or I don't know all the details, but they said it was a nightmare. It cost them a ton of money to fix the place back up again. It was pretty much ruined, and they sold it. They said that they didn't want that hassle any longer, and we don't even want to experiment with that. The problem is the area in which we live in is pretty well a depressed area as far as incomes. It's farm, it's a farm community in between a couple of small cities, and as far as property, when it gets cheap, cheap enough, you start getting people that are moving in that are coming from a different lifestyle. And it's a cheap lifestyle, and they may not value, things as much. It's just, in our case, we know it's not a good idea. If we had a brick house that had city utilities and the house was only 20 years old, that would be one thing. But the fact that this house is from 1920s, and it's got a sump pump in the basement you got to be aware of. It's got a well that you've got to be aware of. You've got to change salt, in the softener. You got to keep the softener always filled.
Most renters are not responsible.
They're not. And you know what?
Not...
We were that way. And it's not that we did it on purpose.
Right.
We were new. We were just married and we didn't know any better. There was things that we would do, like we ran a well dry at one house because we took a couple of long showers.
No, baths. We didn't have a shower.
That's right. We took a couple baths between the two of us, and we did a load of dishes and something else. Oh, we washed our car and we ran our well dry.
Yeah, because they were washing clothes.
And because they were washing clothes, and it was a shared well. I mean, that was just one instance, and it wasn't, like I said, we didn't do it on purpose. We just didn't know any better. We knew how a well system worked, and we knew when the pump was running, but we never had a house that the well could run dry. They did, and it did run dry.
A couple times.
So there's no way we're going to rent this house out. Not unless it was to our immediate family, one of our kids, if they wanted to rent the place. But even then, we would just work out something to where they could buy it from us.
Oh, this is free 88. I'm not reading the whole comment. It says you're not picky, you're just acting up for the internet.
Oh,
whatever.
No. This is okay. So this comment here is on my 36 dislikes of our new RV. The reason I'm mentioning this comment at all is because we had so many people commenting on it. Most of them, unfortunately, are probably not watching this video because that attracted a lot of non-subscribers. Here's the deal. At the beginning of the video, I clearly said how much I love our RV.
And we still do.
And we still love the RV. I loved it when we picked it out. I loved it, all this time we're using it. I love it. I found all the things that I didn't like about it. He's saying that I was just doing that for the internet. You were doing that for the World Wide Web. That's what you were doing. Those intrawebs. You was making it's clickbait. No, I was basically saying the things that I found on this RV that I didn't like. Now, I've had so many people say, well, you should have bought this. You should have bought that. Well, listen, I already looked at this. I already looked at that. And we didn't like those. So imagine my 36 dislikes on those would probably be the 76 dislikes.
And I wouldn't like it at all.
Yeah, she wouldn't like it at all. The thing was, I was telling you, even after watching and shopping and looking and going to multiple RV shows and walkthroughs of multiple RV dealerships, this is the one we chose. This is the one that had the lesser evils of everything that we were dreading. And even with that, even with all that time of looking at this RV, there were things that we still dislike about this one. So I was basically saying, hey, I spent all this time, all this effort, all these years looking for an RV that we liked. And this is the one. This is the best one we could find for the money, the length, the weight. I mean, all the reasons that we chose it.
The one we could both agree on.
We could agree on, yeah, all the way around across the board. And yet there are still things that we don't like about it. So again, I think that was just missed, in general from everybody, because I had so many people say,
why did you, that's stupid. You could have seen that water hookup was on the wrong side.
So I'm not going to buy this RV because of one black tank flush hookup? That's crazy. When it checked off, again, like I said in that same video, you've got to find an RV that meets about 80% of what you like. And 20% of it you're not going to like regardless. So yeah, this one met that. I have to say that it probably met it even above 80%. But there was a lot of things we didn't dislike. That's the only reason I even mentioned that comment or have that comment on there.
Install hour meter on small engine generators. The green light on the Honda saying that it is providing power blinks, however, many hundred hours that they have when you very first start them. I never saw that. Yours won't do that until you hit 100 hours. At 100, when you very first start it, it will flash once and then stay on. Good to know when you go by a second. Also, if you don't know, you can daisy chain your 2200 to 2000. Not just another 2200.
That's not true.
Uh-oh.
Part of it is, part of it's not. Yeah, I know that the light flashes on the Honda generator at 100 hours, and then at 200 hours it flashes differently. I think at 300 hours it flashes differently. I know that, and we're talking about the run light that comes on when the generator's running. The thing is so let's say our generator needs to have service done at 100 hours, which it does. You need to do a 100-hour service. So let's say you're at 88 hours and you're getting ready to go to the desert for 2 weeks and you're going to be running it a lot. I want the hour meter to tell me, hey, you're going to be at 100 hours when you get out to the desert. Maybe you should change the oil while you're at home before you go. Or maybe you should bring an oil change with you so you can do it while you're out in the desert. I want that hour meter to tell me how close I am to those numbers. I don't want it to flash and then all of a sudden jump. That's why we have, even though they don't work very well, tank levels. You don't have one that just says full and empty. You have them to say, all those different intervals. So yeah, I wanted that to say 88, hours, 90 hours, and know, hey, I got to bring an oil change kit because I'm going to be over that as we're out in the desert or while we're boondocking. That's why the hour meter is a good thing. I understand those lights and how they work. Now, as far as what he's saying about daisy chaining them together, he's talking about paralleling. Now, it used to be that with the old EU 2000s and the older EU 3000s and the older EU 1000s and probably even the 7000s also, you could hook a 3000 up to a 1000. You could hook a 2000 up to a 1000. You could hook two 1000s together. You could hook two 2000s up together. You could do all kinds of different things with those and get the power that you wanted. However, it clearly states in these manuals for the new EU 2200, you can only parallel with certain serial number of EU 2000s. So just don't think you're going to buy an EU 2200 and parallel it with your 2000 that you already have, because it's certain serial numbers. Get with Honda, look on their website. They're very clear about that, because you just can't throw them together. They must have changed something in their circuitry with their control modules that don't allow them to talk to each other as well. If we were to get another generator, we would get another EU 2200. There's no doubt about it. There's no reason not to. I did that video years ago about having two generators versus one. However, if I could get both those generators paralleled together at 4,400 watts, peak, and as far as running wattage, it's like 4,000. That's better than one Honda 3000, and that would give us quite a bit of power to where we could actually probably get away with quite a bit running these rooftop air conditioners. I even think we might be able to run both rooftop air conditioners off of those two EU 2200s paralleled together, and that might be something we'll do in the future. I'm not sure, not this year probably, but we'll look at that later.
Would you need 2 extending gas tanks?
There's something about this extended gas tank that allows you to put a different cap on and run 2 hoses from the one tank to both those generators. The problem there, though, is the gravity draw, how it works, or the vacuum.
So you could have 2 tanks.
Yeah, I could have 2 tanks, but that means one might run out. Yeah, we could have 2 tanks.
Well, it'd be easier to have 2 tanks.
You're probably right. It's...
What's it hold? 3/4 of a
6.
gallon? No, 1.
One of them uses
generator?
1.95 gallons, so 1 gallon.
So that would be a pain if you had to run them together.
If you guys haven't watched that video, it's called something running the RV for hours, AC for hours, RV air conditioner running for hours, or something like that. And it's the Honda extended run kit that we bought and put it with our Honda 2200. And it does a really good job. 37 hours, I think we ran, something like that. I think that what most people would do is they'd keep that same one tank, and then they would hook both generators up to those 6 gallons. So instead of getting 37 hours, you can basically say you're going to get about 17 hours, something like that, or 18 hours on 2 of them running off that one tank. But actually, I would probably do like she said, and I'd probably get another tank, the whole kit, and just have 12 gallons of gas there and have it run both those generators. It couldn't hurt, because maybe you're not going to run both generators, and that way you have another 6 gallons of gas you can hook up and run the one generator for another 37 hours. Think about that.
Right.
You're talking, basically 3 days going on. Yeah, about 3 days.
Especially
that you could run.
If you're not running them together.
Right. That's what I was saying. If you're just running one,
yeah,
and you have 2 6-gallon tanks, you could actually run for 3 days that one generator. And it does power the air conditioner, so that's something.
So anyway, that's all the questions for now.
That's all the questions. Holy cow. Well, this still went pretty long. If you guys ever have any questions, just post them. Sometimes we can put them together in a Q&A like this. Most of the time we just try to answer them as we get them. I'm not saying we always have the answers, the right answers, but you'll get an answer. And a lot of the stuff is personal preference. We get a lot of that, what would you do? It's so hard to really tell you what to do. There's very few things that we've come across that I've said, listen, there's no reason not to. There's no reason not to do this. Because there's always a reason for somebody. All right, that's all. We're going to try to cut this. I got to edit it, and we're going to try to put it all together to where you guys can actually watch it.
As always, hope to see you out there. Bye.
Bye.